Good evening. Or, I wish it was a good evening. Perhaps better circumstances, given everything that's happened over the past week or so. It's been rather tiresome and infuriating. But where are my manners? I am Cawthon, here to discuss a few topics with you today. And it is recently over the events of one Mr. Scott Cawthon. It pains me to see what happened to the man. A man who had so much, who built up so much and gave to so many, betrayed by many of those people that he gave to. The moment he showed any dissenting opinion of his own that they didn't agree with, they simply dropped him like dead weight. It's a shame. But before we get into that, before we get to the crux of today's discussion, we need to be able to discuss a few things. One is that not all situations are black and white. They are not good or evil. It is not so simple. Many things are shades of gray, if you will. At the same time, you are allowed to have your opinion. You are allowed to agree, to disagree, to love, to hate. But what you are not allowed to do is to condone violence, is to try to extract violence against someone that you may disagree with. Because the moment you try to perpetuate violence, you become the wrong party, no matter what side you're on in the discussion. The moment you resort to violence, you have lost the argument. You have surrendered. So, with those tidbits out of the way, and we can go deeper into discussion on that in future episodes. This is a first episode, of course, a prototype, and I thought I should do it on something relevant. And those tidbits are relevant. Mr. Cawthon simply donated to politicians, as we now know, who he supported. There's nothing wrong with that. You can support whoever you want, whoever you think will do the better job, whoever aligns with your ideals, whether that be secular ideals or non-secular, religious, non-religious. However, of course, the internet did not see it that way, mostly Twitter, because thank the gods that a lot of his community is actually supporting him, regardless, though you will find several people, a significant amount of people, who still hate the man regardless, because they don't see the larger picture. To those people, I call them children, because they're immature. They don't see the bigger picture. They don't see the greater cause and effect. And I'll get into that as well. Scott is allowed to have his opinion. And to those who hated him, you're allowed to hate. You're allowed to disagree and be disappointed, maybe angry. But to those who then went and called for violence, who threatened to attack his wife, his family, himself, you are on the wrong side, because you are now resorting to violence. You are not making a debate anymore. You are simply saying, I don't care about your opinions. You disagree with me. I hate you, and therefore I shall attack you. That is not how you win an argument. I had hope when Scott initially said he was going to stand up and resist. Well, then he backed down and he's retiring. And perhaps it is the best move, considering the death threats his family was receiving. But still, it is disappointing. Like I said, I am very impressed and proud and hopeful, because so many people now, in the past few days actually, have come to defend him. And that is good. That is very good. Now, you're allowed to have your opinion. You may be communist, you may be fascist, you may be left, right, wherever on the political compass. I may disagree with everything you believe or some things you believe, but we can still discuss that as human beings, that we can maybe find common ground, learn from one another, and then go our separate ways. That is how society, that is how we grow, and how we show maturity. However, what we have seen here with Mr. Cawthon's situation, and the Twitter situation, honestly, has shown the opposite of just cancel culture, destroy what we hate, what we don't agree with. There was no real debate. And that's disappointing. That's very disappointing. I would sit down with someone I disagree with and I would debate them. We may, at the end of the debate, we may not come away with anything, but at least we tried. And I'll respect your opinion if you respect mine, even if I find it deplorable. These Antifa types and these BLM types, while I may agree with a few aspects of what they desire, the way they go about them, their execution, is very flawed. Just because you feel injusticed or infringed does not give you the right to attack innocents, to attack those who didn't do anything against you, because then you become the villain. Antifa has become the fascists. In an ironic twist of fate, they've become the very thing they swore to destroy. That could be another topic for later on, but what they did to Scott was wrong. I think at the end of the day, regardless of what happened, he was going to retire. The man deserves to focus more on his family and his own life. But the way it happened is wrong. And this just shows us perfectly and plainly what so many of these people are like. They don't care about your opinion. If you disagree, or maybe not even disagree, but hold something that's different, different, the trope is people fear what they don't know, they fear the unknown or what they don't understand. They immediately destroy it. Well, unfortunately, that's what we saw here. I mean, I support Scott in what he did because he's allowed to have his opinion. I mean, hell, my own girlfriend is part of the LGBT community. She has friends in that community. I support her. I support the community. But at the same time, well, you're allowed to support politicians that may not support the community because you agree with their economic policy, for example. You're allowed to do these things. Because again, that gets back to not everything is black and white. There are shades of gray. You can support multiple different things because that is you. That is what makes you an individual. You may have different beliefs. And you might have to come to terms with, maybe they don't all align with one another. Say this politician does not agree with LGBT, but you still like his foreign policy and economic policy. You might have to sacrifice that a little bit. And in other areas, support LGBT groups and communities more directly or indirectly. Try and play both sides, I guess you could say. Because at the end of the day, Scott is his own man. And the right of the individual cannot be denied. You have no right, as an individual, to destroy the speech, the beliefs, the way of life of another individual. I wouldn't do that to any of you. You shouldn't be doing that to any of us around you. And so, to Mr. Cawthon, you have my deepest condolences. To those that support him and have seen the bigger picture, who are more mature, I congratulate you, and I shake your hand. I tip my hat, well, if I had one, I tip my hat to you. And to those that attacked the man, unwarranted, who let their hate get the better of them, I do not actually hate you. I'm disappointed in your behavior, but I ask you this. Take a moment and look in the mirror. You claim he perpetuated hate by supporting these politicians. Well, what did you just do? You perpetuated hate. You destroyed this. You bullied him off the internet, effectively. You made him retire, perhaps earlier than he would have. You created all this drama and divided a community. You perpetuated hate. And especially when you talk about the death threats against his family. But just about this, on another note, on a final note, think about it if the shoe was on the other foot. If, say, you were in Cawthon's shoes and simply for having your own beliefs, people were attacking you. How would you feel? And I'm saying this to those who attacked him, who threatened his family. How would you feel? Would you want that negativity? Would you want those attacks against you? Do not treat others that way if you would not want yourself treated that way. Treat others how you want to be treated. And if you give them respect, and if you live and let people have their opinions, then people will let you have your opinions. And then we can grow. It is just very disappointing, this whole thing. Perhaps my words fall on deaf ears. Perhaps people's heads are buried so far in the sand, they will not listen. Perhaps all they want is blood. But again, there are several other topics to discuss, so we'll save those for next time. We'll split them up. I thank you for joining me on this little rant. I had to get a bit of a weight off my chest. And it's a good way to start off an experimental channel. But anyway, to those of you who supported Cawthon, who defended him and did your research about the wider picture, congratulations. You are taking steps to be more mature and truly an individual, to be smarter and wiser. To those who attacked him, who perpetuated effectively the same hate you claimed him to be perpetuating, please reflect on this. Learn to not do this again. Don't do it again. It is wrong. It is wrong to be calling for violence against anyone. I hope you learn. You look in the mirror and meditate and think about your actions. And to Mr. Cawthon, I wish you a happy retirement. And I hope that you get to spend as much time with your family as you can, and I hope they are safe, because you did a lot with those games. I spent much time playing them in high school, making friends who watched me play. So yes, I must say thank you. And I hope the rest of your days are peaceful, safe, and free of this toxic violence. To everyone that watched, thank you again, and good day.